Hello everyone, and now welcome to a game PCG123 versus SoYma. This game taking place here on Twisted Meadows version 1.9. Crypt, Altar of Darkness, quickly being summoned up by the Acolyte, now getting back to work. Things already getting underway here as we're looking at Altar of Elders, Moonwell, and most likely an Ancient of War here by SoYma on this 5-3-1 creep camp. Game getting underway. It is going to be Night Elf versus Undead, obviously, and we'll see what comes out, what comes through this 1v1 matchup. A lot of changes. Players are still trying to figure out the new meta, these new upgrades, and, well, ultimately, in the end, trying to, win more games as the meta does stabilize and trying to build the proper counters and the counter to those counters, so on and so forth. Should be a great game here. We're going to see a 6th Acolyte being trained up and then summoning up that Tomb of Relics and now going out to do a bit of scouting. We are looking at a Demon Hunter going up against, no sign yet. It is going to be a Death Knight. Classic matchup. Demon Hunter versus Death Knight. Tomb of Relics already being summoned up. That will be well in time, as a couple of ghouls are going to be out as well. It looks like the Death Knight going to be going to that creeping strategy early on, and the Demon Hunter may actually toggle Immolation. Perhaps only time will tell. Archer going to go ahead and pop on out here. Ancient of War will uproot, eat a tree, and then start attacking here in just a moment. Wait for it. All right, there is the auto attack. There is that uproot, and now just trying to pull all of those units over. Ancient of War getting in a quick attack there, and now trying to go after those targets. Archer needs to back away. Didn't actually lose the aggro to the Ancient of War, so this is a little bit odd here as we see a Purge go down onto this Acolyte. All right, a little bit of damage. The Purge on the Acolyte. The Demon Hunter may be able to get the final shot off, and yes, does get the shot off there, but now the Demon Hunter actually tanking the majority of that damage. That's not exactly what the Demon Hunter wanted. All right, going to go ahead and hide back again. Demon Hunter now exchanging blows against that Null Overseer. Ancient of War taking a beating. And, well, Demon Hunter going to be able to do exactly what he wants to do here. All right, going to get a little bit of repair. No repair onto this Ancient of War. Wisp just making its way out. Death Knight, on the other hand, going to go ahead and clear out of this creep camp at the 7 o'clock position and start setting up an expansion. All right, so the Death Knight using that Rod of Necromancy early to summon up a couple of skeletal minions, do a little bit of additional damage. Ogre Magi, Ogre Warrior going to get cleaned up here. Death Knight, all right, so the Death Knight, gonna pick up a Pendant of Energy. One important thing to note, none of the green creep camps were cleared out. So the Death Knight killed an early sheep, you summoned up a skeletal minion, and then summoned up another one. So there is 2 charges here. Demon Hunter now gonna make its way over. And is he gonna spot all of this? He is. Demon Hunter does also go for mana burn first, as this Ziggurat going to be taking a little bit of damage. Are we going to perhaps see a cancellation here? Wisp trying to make its way over, perhaps get a detonation, as we are going to see this Ziggurat now be done. Blight is now down. Perhaps some repairs onto that Ziggurat as the Death Knight with Unholy Aura trying to get in front of this Demon Hunter. However, the Demon Hunter able to get the slip. A little bit of a mana burn there, exchanging blows, but the expansion here on the bottom left looks like PCG123 will be able to establish it. All right, every expansion deserves another, and here we have a Tree of Life being built off on the north side of the map. So we could be going into 2-base play by both sides. However, tech to tier 2 already well on its way by SoYma. Meanwhile, we are looking at PCG123 still at tier 1. Hasn't trained up any Acolytes yet. All right. This is going to be a little bit of an interesting spot to be in. There is another burn here, mana burn there. So PCG123 is constantly getting held in check. The Death Knight not able to easily get off Death Coils. And as I say that, Death Coils, that ghoul right there. All right, Death Knight wants to clear up this Null Warden creep camp. Meanwhile, Demon Hunter off to the north here, going to be taking a little bit of a beating. Going to finish off this Null Warden, get to level 2, and then perhaps go after this northern creep camp once this Tree of Life is ready. More archers getting trained up here. A nice ring of superiority, just +1 to every single stat. Demon Hunter may head back, drink from these Moonwells, and then once more venture on out. I wish there was a way, well, I don't know, Moonwells being able to redistribute their mana would be a nice little feature, and if as long as the Moonwells were actually close enough together, right? Like this Moonwell was completely empty, this one and this one here fairly full, so being able to distribute your Moonwell mana, just a little thing to do. As right, you can't tell the Demon Hunter, hey, only drink enough moon juice to get down to 100, right? It just always empties out completely. All right, Forest Troll Trapper gonna get cleaned up here. Ogre Warrior also gonna get cleaned up. We're looking at the Death Knight now, wandering around here. Does have Unholy Aura. There's that tech to tier 2. We see that PCG123 has 5 Acolytes fully saturating this gold mine here on the southern side, as the Tree of Life has a long walk all the way off to the north here. No Nature's Blessing. Tree of Ages obviously already done because of that Naga Sea Witch, that clear indicator as, oh no, SoYma gonna get surrounded by on this here. All right, trying to finish things off. The Naga Sea Witch quickly getting taken down. There goes one ghoul, but that was actually sacrificed by that ritual dagger. All right, PCG123 taking a bit of a lead here. Are we going to see some more damage come back across? We're looking at more damage coming here, perhaps trying to take down a skeletal minion or two, but the army of PCG123 actually fairly large. That is a lot of ghouls, as we're looking at trying to clear out this creep camp off to the north. Ancient of War in position. Demon Hunter going to have a very, very bad day trying to go after a ghoul here. Ghoul going to get taken down. Scroll of Town Portal quickly being used. There's no level up. Demon Hunter still seeing that level 2. Death Knight is the one trying to get to level 3 and may be able to get there after finishing off this Ancient of War. Level 3 on that Death Knight now, and now perhaps going to try and stop this entangling of the gold mine, as the Tree of Life unable to engage back. Demon Hunter, Naga Sea Witch both back out onto the battlefield ready to go. Entangling of the gold mine will be lost. PCG123 having a major economic advantage, as this Tree of Life has not had a positive return on investment yet. Death Knight, however, having to deal with 2 heroes, the Demon Hunter and the Naga Sea Witch. However, the Naga Sea Witch not able to get some cold arrows out to try and pick off some of these targets, as we are now nearing a tier 2 for the undead. All right, a couple of easy, quick lobs here. Archer going to get healed back up. Dryads are now out on the battlefield. Dual Ancients of Lore. SoYma looking to entangle this gold mine, as the Death Knight, well, wanders straight into the Goblin Merchant Shop. Dryads, are they going to poke across here? Oh wait, there's a gift-wrapped Archer. Is the Death Knight going to go after it? It is, but there is just too much of an army here. Death Knight now could be in trouble, actually venturing forward a little bit too far. Dryad, cold arrows, and a slow poison causing problems here. Are we going to get some more cold arrows? We are. Every time the Death Knight tries to shake off that damage, there's a little bit more of that slow poison damage again, as that Death Knight now down to 151 hit points. All right, Death Knight trying to play a little bit of a game here, perhaps summon up some additional skeletal minions. However, the Naga Sea Witch is here. There are some cold arrow shots, as the Death Knight, well, re-examines his decision to stick around in this fight, deciding to back away. Demon Hunter gonna pick up a Manual of Health. No, gonna finish off a couple of these skeletal minions here. That Forest Troll Warlord down to 153 hit points wasn't finished off. We could get a double level up for the Demon Hunter and that Naga Sea Witch. Meanwhile, Lich now getting trained up, tech to tier 3, nearly done. And this is still a lot of gold for PCG123, who's sitting on nearly 900 gold, and is going to come out strong here once that tech to tier 3 is completed. Dual Slaughterhouse as well. Obsidian statue is going to be incredibly important to keep all of these units all topped off. That sudden power spike ready to go, as we're looking at a quick Frost Nova down. Demon Hunter, however, wants to capitalize on this opportunity, perhaps get some damage in before his opponent is able to do too much. Lich now down to 62 mana after a mana burn. Death Coil, Frost Nova onto the Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter going to be a little bit worse for wear. Are we going to see the Death Knight get back? No, Death Knight not going to... Death Knight does use the Potion of Invulnerability. Will be able to stay alive. Are we going to see a Death Coil onto that Demon Hunter? Demon Hunter, however, able to escape back once more. Obsidian statues are going to be absolutely necessary. We're going to see one more shot. There goes an Archer, as the Lich stays at level 1. All right, the first Obsidian statue should already be training. The second one also getting added in. Death Knight dangerously low on hit points, but the Demon Hunter and Naga Sea Witch not close enough by to really put in pressure. All right, Druid of the Claw going to get a rejuvenation off on that Demon Hunter there, down to 155 hit points. He'll be able to live and fight another day. And now we're looking at some items transferring between the two. Naga Sea Witch going to pick up the Potion of Greater Mana and the Gloves of Haste here, as this Druid of the Claw still needs to get a little bit more mana for another rejuvenation on that 1,000 hit point Demon Hunter. All right, Mastery training nearly done. That will give a bit more mana once more and then allow him to transform into the Druid of the Claw. Oh, nope. Decides against it as the Demon Hunter now makes its way around. +5 to every single stat for that Demon Hunter, selling those rings of superiority, +1/+1, not really worth it, as we're looking at the Naga Sea Witch trying to get to level 3. 3-1-1 going up against 2 level 3 heroes, as that Naga Sea Witch does level up here. We need to get a rejuvenation off on that Demon Hunter. Not quite sure why we don't see that just quite yet, as time is of the essence. Naga Sea Witch and Lich now pushing pressure into the base here. Death Knight also coming in bearing gifts with the Scroll of Healing and Potion of Greater Mana. Druid of the Claw off to the side here. Is he going to be able to get a rejuvenation off on himself and then try and engage? We're going to see exactly that. Potion of Invulnerability. Demon Hunter trying to engage here. Just going to try to finish off some of those units as the Druids of the Claw are engaging against all of these Crypt Fiends. Demon Hunter in the back line getting an Orb of Venom. Both sides are fighting their way through. Here's a Death Coil onto the Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter down to 251 hit points. Gets another rejuvenation, trying to stay alive. Is he going to be able to stay alive back here? Getting in a little bit of Moonwell recovery. All right, both sides still fighting, and the lines are not clearly drawn. There goes a Forked Lightning down as SoYma tries to finish off some more units. There goes another Druid of the Claw. The Druid of the Claw are not sticking around long enough, and this is just going to funnel in even more experience. There goes a big mana burn, unable to get their engagement onto these units. Low hit point Druid of the Claw walks into the fight, gets spit on by a Crypt Fiend, and gets taken down easily. 61 supply compared to 47. SoYma just in a lot of trouble up against the wall, and it doesn't look like PCG 123 is going to give him any sort of reprieve. Constant battling inside the base. SoYma's Moonwell is pretty bone dry. The Druids of the Claw are simply not getting trained up fast enough. 51 supply compared to 58. All right, level 2 now on the Naga Sea Witch. The Obsidian statue is bringing home field advantage, as we're going to see the Destroyer down to 15 hit points getting taken down. However, Druid of the Claw also going to get taken down as well. We are down to the heroes now. More rejuvenation onto the Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter, however, losing that rejuvenation due to, well, Devour Magic. So the Destroyer is still doing quite a bit of work, as we're going to see, well, Death Coil onto the level 4 Naga Sea Witch. The level 4 Naga Sea Witch taken down. The Destroyer is going to be, Devouring Magic. Again, that Demon Hunter dangerously low on hit points. Orb of Venom not able to take down these flying units nearly enough. Death Knight, well, needs to get a Death Coil off onto that Lich, as the Demon Hunter, well, Pure Up Vitality dropped, picked back up, somehow staying alive. Gonna go ahead and rejuvenate and run back into the corner again. All right, there's a lot of Druids of the Claw here, so that, well, that round of training seemingly enough here. There's another rejuvenation again, so 54 supply compared to 51. Perhaps PCG 123 overstayed his welcome just a little bit. We're going to see another Crypt Fiend getting taken down. Demon Hunter going to come across. Are we going to see a mana burn? There's a mana burn onto the Death Knight. Lich could be in trouble. Potion of, no, Scroll of Town Portal, Potion of Invulnerability. There's the Invul Potion getting transferred, but I believe that cooldown is still in play. Yes, the cooldown is still in play. Demon Hunter down to 237 hit points. Buys a Invisibility Potion, but it gets devoured off as well by the Destroyer as the units are retreating again. All right, this Druid of the Claw wants to get a rejuvenation off here, and will be able to do exactly that. 60 supply compared to 70. SoYma somehow able to survive, gets all of these Druids of the Claw back up to full hit points. Were they hiding off on the side? And SoYma able to keep the units alive long enough. All right, Demon Hunter, Staff of Teleportation, no Staff of Preservation. This Druid of the Claw is going to have a very bad day. Demon Hunter going to try and engage. There is a mana burn again. Are we going to see some rejuvenation? There's a rejuvenation, and both sides are fighting. There's going to be a quick Devour Magic as the Demon Hunter able to put pressure on the Death Knight. Naga Sea Witch Resurrection nearly back out onto the battlefield here. We're going to see all of these Druids of the Claw try to get some rejuvenations going, heal up again. and then transform into their fighting forms once more. All right, this Druid of the Claw, well, needs to go into that fighting form here. Remember, this is Nightfall, so it does regenerate hit points during the nighttime, and then when it finally transforms, does get a little bit more hit points again. PCG123 now down to no upkeep, 50 supply compared to SoYma's 66 over 70. Demon Hunter going after some creep camps here. Naga Sea Witch sitting at level 4. If the Demon Hunter backs away, the Naga Sea Witch would actually be gaining some of this experience now, which would be incredibly important, picking up some useful items. Mantle of Intelligence, Potion of Greater Mana, as Dryads are also joining in on the battle. However, PCG123 has a decent amount of time right now. 50 over 70 supply, building up a little bit more. No units getting lost in transit. That's actually a bit of a surprise there. Sitting at 50 over 70, PCG123 isn't training up any additional units. All right, Demon Hunter going to go ahead and dive in here. We're going to look at this Nerubian tower. It's going to be suffering quite a bit of damage. Quickly taken down by those Druids of the Claw. Demon Hunter now makes its way back around here. There's going to be a mana burn, 150-point mana burn. That is going to be a big deal indeed, as the Demon Hunter could be going after all of those destroyers now. All right, Dryads. There is no Crypt Fiends here. More fighting. Lich at level 3. One Druid of the Claw getting taken out. Or no Staff of Preservation. That is going to be a major setback here. Lich and Naga Sea Witch, however, both going to be in trouble. There's going to be a mana burn. There goes the Lich. Naga Sea Witch could be next, and a beautiful, beautiful reversal by SoYma over PCG123, being able to hold out on this battle. I believe a handful of Druids of the Claw were hidden off to the side here. They were able to rejuvenate each other and then come back in with that counter pressure. It felt like suddenly there was just an additional 16 supply worth of units, and PCG123 was not ready for it. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below.